Welcome, James, and
Hey,
welcome.
Alina.
Well, so it's so lovely to see you. Actually, I mean, this is the launch of the Audacious Conversations live LinkedIn's. I think, in my experience, there is a bit of a lag, so I'm not sure whether we are on or not. But I think we'll have to assume that we are.
Okay.
And as this is all about being audacious, so
Yes.
I sort of feel with you, it's a dance off. But we will let's see when people come in. I think we will acknowledge or might not. I think there is also in terms of people coming in, most people probably don't want to be seen, but if there is anyone audacious that wants to say hello and just tell us where they are from, that would be amazing. And
Okay.
if not, we're really grateful for anybody who's sort of joined us live or for anybody who will be watching us later. This is all about being audacious. So,
Yes.
just before we start, I think this is the very first one that really was born in a conversation that you and I and Dr. Mandy Letter had beginning of this year. So, I'm
That's
really
right.
grateful. And my intention for this is to have fun, to have some sort of insights and tips for people in terms of what audacious really is. And I have this huge vision to redefine audacity
I
in the
love
way
that.
that sort of Brené Brown redefined vulnerability. And
Yes.
this is a huge claim to make, but I'm going to make it. And because there's still this, connotation or negative connotation with the word
Yes.
audacity. And for me,
Yes.
audacity is a positive thing. I know most people think it is rude, inappropriate, or someone who is, really pushing the limits outside of acceptable behavior. But
Yes.
I chose to redefine it as courage, care, and sort of non-conformity in a positive way. That's what
Yes.
my book is trying to do. So
Absolutely. And
I
I
am.
want to say one thing. When we had that discussion with Mandy, it was a breakthrough for me because when I heard audacious, I had the negative connotation. How dare you? You have the audacity to do, right? I had that from probably movies.
Mm.
And then when we talked about bold, courageous, I got the sense of effervescence and feeling fully alive. Like audacity breaks you through all the limits and lets you fully live. And I was in from there.
Fabulous. So actually, that is a definition that you gave, the effervescent, which is a phenomenal word.
Yeah.
That's a lovely memory to bring back in. So, yeah, thank you. So, with that in mind, actually, James, tell us one audacious thing about yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to tell an audacious thing about our connection first, and then myself, because
Okay.
that's
Okay.
how we bonded, right? We're part of the 4PC group. We were in Lake Como. I think it was the third day. We'd been doing a lot of work. We had a break in the afternoon to the night, and a couple of people wanted to get in the lake. And you were like, I don't even have clothes on to get in the lake, but I'm going. I don't have a towel. You said, let's go. So we walked, and the only way we were supposed to get in the lake was to get in a pool that was on top of the lake. And we got down there, and our group was like, no, we're getting in the lake. So we audaciously found some stairs, and we walked down where some other people were. We were soaking, taking pictures, having fun, enjoying. It was a hot day, and the police came.
Oh my God, yes.
And the police came,
And the
and the
police
police
said,
said, out of the water, this is dangerous, you can't be in here. And we were like, that even made it more exciting that we weren't supposed to be there, but we didn't know. And so there's a lesson. How often would you do something if you didn't know that you were doing it wrong? And that made it exciting, right? And that bonded us, and we laughed, and we even took a picture with the police officers. They weren't mad at us. They just kind of said, hey, you got to get out. We took a picture. That became this memory of you and I bonding in this audacious way. And I always remember that.
oh, that's such a fabulous memory. And it's so true because there were many other people. So it
Yes.
wasn't that we went, so we were audacious, but also it wasn't that we followed some other type of crowd. And talking about negotiation audaciously, we convinced the police crowd, there was a woman and a man, to have a picture
Yes.
with us.
That's
Fabulous.
right, and not be mad at us. So that was fun. That'll be the memory for you and I that always bonds us. But if I think of a moment last year, I was presenting at a conference,
Mm.
250 people, the third day of the conference. So people had stayed the third day. I had presented previously. It was all about how to discover your purpose, be in your zone of genius, right? So I had this idea to have a walk-on song, and so this song I love is called "All the Way Up." And the words go, nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. And that's kind of this anthem that I live by, right? And it's this song, I thought of it that morning. And it's this song by Fat Joe, Remy Ma, rap song people probably didn't know. I got there that morning and I had the AV guys find the clean version, like clean version of it. And it just has this bass that hits like boom, boom. And so I was at the back of the room, and as everybody walked in, 250 people walked in.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden I pointed to the corner and they started playing this song like you were in a nightclub, like all these dressed up people in suits, right? And they were looking around. And then here I come in from the back. You know, get up out of your seat. Let's go all the way up. We were just, and then I got up on the stage and we kept it going. But I have a video where people were like, what's going on? Where am I? Like, this is the last. And it was just the most exciting. They had fun. They were dancing. But for me, I'll tell you the difference was that's my most joy is when it's music and dancing. And that's something I usually keep separate from my work. And I brought them together. So what I felt was like this release and fully alive feeling of everything that I shared that day. And I still remember like just the smiles on their face and the excitement, the igniting of the fun that we had that day for the next 90 minutes.
Wow. Actually, for you, it's fascinating. I love it. And this is, you really embody that energy. You know, the three words when I think of you are, you know, purpose, which is what you are all about, but it's the flow and it's the passion. It's the passion, and the dance is from what I know of you.
Yeah. And for me, that's been me my whole personal life. Back in the clubbing days, I would be the person standing on top of the speaker, shouting, the roof is on fire, exciting the crowd. But this was now to bring it into a work setting of people that don't know me. And that was the edgy place to play. And it was so cool to see them break out of their shells and have fun. And it opened this channel for a great session that we had after that and the way to end the conference.
Wow. And actually you reminded me, because the conversation that you and I and Mandy had at the beginning of the year, when we sort of, you know, redefining audacity for you, because you had this moment of no, audacity is negative.
Yes.
And then you sort of challenged you to do something audacious. And you did exactly that. I'm curious, how did that turn up for you, that one moment?
Yeah. So timing is everything. We were talking on a Friday morning, and I love to apply anything I learned that's new. So this new freedom of audacity and feeling alive. I said to you and Mandy, hey, I'm going to apply this Monday morning. I have to create a workshop this afternoon for Monday. And now I know what my icebreaker is going to be. And so I got the Black Eyed Peas song, It's Gonna Be a Good Night, right? And when the 12 executives came into the room, all in suits and ties, right, I talked about, hey, let's celebrate what we've done last year. We've been working together for a year, got them up out of their chairs to loosen up. And we had a dance party, like to start the day in the office. All these executives just dancing. It's going to be a good night. It's going to be a good year. And I was surprised how many of them participated because I hadn't seen this side of them, right? I've been in the office doing one-on-ones and it was so much fun and the joy. We were out of breath. Everybody recognized the need to get in better shape, but we had so much fun. And then they enjoyed it. But what I noticed is it opened me up to now show up at a different level that I had not thought of before having this experience. And so that I did it again Friday with another group. I did
this Friday was gone.
No, that same Friday I did it again. Friday. I had another group and they danced around the room, like conga line around the room. And it just, everybody laughing. And I saw sides of these people I'd never seen before, you know? So it just, this idea of audacious and bold and courageous to really break through limits and barriers to live fully alive, that effervescent life.
Effervescent, that's your word.
Effervescent, that's my word. The bubbling.
But I'm curious actually for you, James. So for me, audacity, when I redefined audacity, was courage, which is obviously the obvious one. Everybody knows is the boldness, but it's also caring, and it's obviously the non-conformity. So which one of those three do you think resonates most with your definition of audacity?
Yeah, the bold, courageous. That's what comes to me. It's this bold, courageous to break through some constraint, some limit. Like that's where I live, on the edge of wanting to just bust through barriers to help set people free, including myself. Freedom is my number one word, to just live fully alive and create whatever they're meant to create. So that audacious thing just captures that. I think of it as like this energy, like to bust through anything. Like it's this energy that can be used to break through and ignite.
Absolutely.
I love that word.
Thank you. And I just wanted to acknowledge, actually, I suddenly saw that we've got a few people who were audacious enough to say hello to us. And then we've got, leaving this conversation. Thank you, Gisela and Sylvia. And audacity includes risk without risk.
Yes.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
It is the risk. So with that sort of help can you think, what was one of the most audacious things that you have done? Well, last week or last 12 months, you choose.
Okay, so I just gave you two. Really,
yeah, but I feel that's almost easy for you because that's something that really took you way out of that comfort zone into the risky zone.
That's good. I think honestly, if I think about it now, because I had that definition before a few weeks ago, there wasn't the sense of wanting to be audacious because of that the negative side of it. And I think it's just been more have fun because I like to have fun. But what I didn't do is bring it into my work as much. I didn't take the big risk. So again, if I go back to those executives, we've worked together for a year and it's been very, activities and things. But this idea, when I said to them, I had a picture on the screen of a dance party, like a nightclub. And I said, before we start, we're going to have a dance party. We're going to celebrate. And again, that's easy for me, but to bring it into that setting when they had no idea, I didn't come up with it, but 72 hours before I found the song that morning and we just danced around the room, and to see people light up and get excited. That was a big risk because I didn't know if they would go with it or I'd be standing there by myself.
And what would you have done? Actually, I'm curious if you were to stand there by yourself.
So I'm known as the hype man and I get people involved. So I would have continued because that would have been me, but I would have then gone and engaged people. And I did a few people, hey, come on, let's do this. Let's start to act like I would have had more prompts to get people going, but I was really surprised that they took it. So then that made me think, where else could I take a risk that on the other side of it is this thing that I don't know because I'm limiting it. Right. And so that's something I've been thinking about more and more.
Totally. Because see, I think when you said you would be standing there and dancing on your own, I can't even imagine you doing that because you have got this magnetic energy so people will just join you just because you are so welcoming in dancing. So I'm just, again, curious. So I'm poking you a little bit. What would that be? What would be the risky thing that still feels audacious for you to even consider it right now?
That's good. Wow. I'm like when I teach and do things, I'm pretty vulnerable. I share things to kind of lead. The dancing and the music is kind of that natural for me, but new edge. I'm gonna have to really think about what the next level is for me because that was kind of comfortable for me. Risk because I didn't know their response, but I don't know. That's a good question.
Because I do think that's your sort of. I know it's edgy, but it's still comfortable.
It's still me. Yeah.
So I suppose, what would someone who is really close to you, a loved one, someone in the family or friend will say, this is when I've witnessed James at his most audacious. What do you think?
I would tell you that my daughters, it's going to go to the same theme, right? It's going to go to the same theme. Going in a store with them when they're younger, and then the music comes on. And once the music comes on, there is no shame in my dance game. Like, I don't care who's around. I don't care who's watching. And they used to be so embarrassed. Oh my God, Dad's dancing in the middle of Best Buy with the headphones on, right? And I don't care. And now they just make videos and they send them to each other. And they have albums of me doing this crazy thing anywhere. My brothers would say the same thing. If we're on a cruise and they're playing the music, I'm the first one into the line dance. Those would be the kind of things that people would say, yeah, that's you.
Yeah, but that's you. So it's interesting.
That's me.
There's no shame in my dance game, I think you said.
Yes.
But that's still, a little bit into your comfort zone. And it's something that you just said right now, which was, I got into my groove and I didn't care what people think or what they thought. And this is one of my definition is when you care, this is my care part of the audacity. When you care so much about someone, about something, about, other people, or even about your own self, that you don't care what other people think.
Yes.
Now, that is audacious.
Yes.
Because most people are really holding themselves up for all sorts of reasons. That story that we have of being judged, of being by other people, and really worried about what they will think.
Yes.
And for you, as I said, you groove. I just wonder what would that be where
Okay, I got it. You gave me this. You gave me the space. So 2 years ago in November, I was presenting at another conference of leaders for the cruise line industry in Miami, and they also had a walk-on song. They picked some song, and it was this loud song, and they introduced me with this big James is coming. He's got all these things, and so I said, "Hey, hi, my name is James, and the thing that you don't know about me is that for many, many years of my life, I believed the lie about myself that I'm not good enough." And I just sat with that because all this energy was in. I took it out at the beginning. And then I went on to explain, most of us have received the programming for life, 80% of it by the time we're 8 years old. And for me, it was, I'm not good enough. And what that caused me to do is create a mechanism of proving everywhere I went. My whole life has been about proving. And it's exhausting, and it caused burnout, and it caused me to be really stressed in my core. It also caused a lot of success, but it came at a big cost because every assignment I took wasn't just to do a good job to serve. It was to prove. I call it prove energy. And that prove energy drove me to lots of stress and anxiety because everything I did came from a place of proving and not serving, to the point where I had to really recognize that I was only proving to myself. It wasn't to other people. And then what would happen to me is I would accept too many assignments. I would say yes to too many things. And then when I would fail at them because I was overwhelmed, guess what that just proved? James is not good enough. So I created this self-fulfilling prophecy loop. So I shared that in my intro. Instead of going into all the wonderful accolades, I kind of shared, and it was just silent. Right. And then I had them also turn to each other and share something that they didn't want others to know. So this became me leading, like with my most vulnerable share to them that day. And I'd never done that before. 250 people. I had people come up to me afterwards in tears because something I said connected with something in them. And I got to see the impact of that. And that was a big risk for me because I'd never shared something like that in a big audience of people that I don't know.
And that's powerful because actually it is what Sylvia just brought for us, which is the risk. I do feel that for you, that vulnerability where I'm sharing something that you don't want people to know, but genuinely you don't want people to know. In that moment is taking the risk and not knowing what's going to be on the other side. And what we do know when we are vulnerable like that, with that risk, is you really open the gates for everybody else to open up.
Yeah. And it was not part of my plan. So it wasn't planned vulnerability. While I was walking backstage and they were kind of doing the talks, this just came to me. And so I felt this like flutter in my heart, this kind of anticipation. I said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to start out with that instead of all the wonderful, fun things. And then I'm going to have them do the same exercise because I just demonstrated what that looks like. And I talked about it afterwards. Like, how do you feel? And people said, I feel a release. I feel a relief, and I didn't die from that. It's something that now I feel that we can really listen and participate. And that's been my experience as well. So that would be the one I could think of where I just was as vulnerable as I could be about whatever I was learning at the time. And that resonated with people.
Can I stretch you?
Of course you can.
Is there anything else that you don't want people to know that you would be willing to share with me? Betting there is anybody else watching.
I would say that I might have talked about this before, but about 15 years ago, I went through a divorce. My daughters were young at the time, and I actually moved. I wasn't physically in the same state as them. And during that time, like, it was so painful for me that I focused all on me. It was all about James finding joy, finding peace, rebounding. And my daughters were like 7 and 14 at the time. And during that time, because I was so selfish, right, it caused a lot of heart wounds for both of my daughters, who are now 24 and 31. And for many, like over these 15 years, I've had a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, even when I think about that period of selfishness that I was going through because of my own pain and how it has impacted them. Like that's the one thing that I sit with every day and that I've worked to really rebuild. And I've talked to my daughters honestly and transparently about what was going on for me, not as an excuse, but to just show, hey, your dad is human and this is what I was going through. And it's actually brought us closer together, even though that pain still exists. But I could tell you that I still feel, even as it's getting better, I still feel a sense of guilt as their father for not being there for them and being emotionally present. That was the thing, not being, even if I was physically there, not being emotionally present to really connect with them during that time. That's something that sits with me still every day.
And actually, it's interesting what you just brought. We almost going sort of back, the circle with, because Brené Brown's work or her life work is all about shame. She not only redefined vulnerability, but shame. So for anybody who's watching and probably will want to, I mean, we don't have time to go, and I'm no expert in that, but that's definitely a lot of that work to really explore how can you be vulnerable and open up and explore the shame that we all have in one shape or another. And that's audacious in itself. Actually, that is very audacious to go down that route of vulnerability and exploring. Most of us, we're not even aware that we carry so much shame around our neck, around our shoulders, wherever it goes into our bodies.
That's right. It definitely weighs us down. And I would say in the first so many years, it was just all about chasing after joy, rebounding, focused on me, very selfish. And so I wasn't aware. It wasn't until I saw the impact on my daughters as young adults and the relationships that they chose to be in that I can see came from that wounding. Like they created some of the same patterns because of how I wasn't present. And I took that very personally. And again, I'm very open in talking to them about that now. And we've developed better, but it's still, there's this still sense of underneath as the father, like so focused on me, which is where I wouldn't be today, but I was then. And again, but I didn't know what I didn't know. If we knew better, we would do better, I like to say. So it's that wisdom of helping them recognize their own pains and sharing today so that they can make different choices for their own future at this point. Because even though that may have been caused by me, they own the decisions today to create their future, right? They can't choose to be victims of anything that I did. And so that kind of helps me. But there's still going to be like little piece that I'm working out of my heart that's still there that I'd say is probably the vulnerable share.
No, and thank you for trusting me and us to share. And of course, I mean, it's their journey, your journey. We all have our own journeys, to be honest, with, when it comes to things like this, to just stay with it and do the work. I always say, that's you are doing your own work. They'll be doing theirs. And just being audacious and taking some risk. And it's interesting, the whole risk that we're talking about, taking risks. One is being vulnerable. One is, jumping off the plane, which I will never do.
Right.
We all have our own definition of what's risky. Someone is really able to speak very eloquently in public, but not being able to drive a car.
Yes.
I can, but it's just something I really don't like. So we all have our own definitions of what's risky and what's not risky. And it could be, sort of extremes for people. But what would be, I'm sort of curious, what if you were to define what you do for people, James, in 3 words, what would those words be?
If I give it to you in 3 words, it would be ignite purposeful growth.
And just give me one, just go a little bit deeper into one of them. Choose.
Yeah, ignite. That's why this whole idea of audacious and risk, it really resonated with me, because I love to wake up people from where they are, the stories that hold them back, the beliefs that they have that keep them, the lying beliefs like I had. I love to help people figure that out and wake them up and set them free. Like that, there's no more joy when I see someone go, you mean I can do that? That's the story that I've been telling myself. That's got me here, but it's holding me. Like, I love that igniting part. And then we go off to, that is the beginning of growth, is when you take off all those things that hold us back. And a lot of times it's our belief, stories, experiences, traumas. That I love to do more than anything else. Like, that's all I would do. If I only did what I love to do, that would be it, is just meet with people and help them take those things off and be set free.
Igniting them to set them free. And in a way, this is how you and I have got, things in common, because for me is I love to help people achieve things that they believe are impossible.
Yes.
Something that looks impossible right now. And then they go on to achieve it in 6 months to 12 months time. And you reminded me, because I just listened to a podcast recently, and it was Jay Shetty and Steve Bartlett. And and Jay Shetty was asked to define happiness, I believe. And he said, well, the happiness, for a week or a month or for a year is doing these three things. And one is learn something new, whether you do it in the last 12 months or launch something new. And then love whatever it is that you're doing. And I thought that's fascinating. So I love to play with the one word, 3 words. It is my way of challenging people to just, hold it and condense it into one thing. But I thought that's fascinating. If you learn something new, if you launch something new, and then you love what you do, that is a measure of happiness, in various ways. So for me, I thought I just reflected on, this is me and you together with you launching this new project, which I have committed to doing for 12 months. I love beginnings and I love endings. So I'm committing to having conversation with people who inspire me, who scare me a little bit, if I were to be honest, and who I love over the next 12 months or so. And I mean, I'm so honored that you chose to be with me today and share your own audacity. And if you and I were to celebrate something truly audacious in the next 12 months for you, what would that be?
I'll tell you what, have me back on and I'll tell you what it is. because now, since this conversation, I'm looking for more of those things, deeper than just the things I'm comfortable with, like you talked about. But let's do this. We talked about wanting to turn this into a challenge for everybody watching, right? So they've had a chance to learn today about Audacity and some of our examples. Look into the camera and give everybody the launch challenge based on what they heard today. Give that to them.
Oh, so is that your challenge to me?
No, I want you to challenge everybody watching.
Okay.
Give them a challenge.
So I suppose that my challenge to everybody who's watching now or watching later is to really stretch themselves and do one big audacious thing, whatever that may be for you. And then, actually, we've still got 3 minutes, and I'm not, you wouldn't, if you know me, if anybody who knows me knows I'm not that great when it comes to time management. But I would love if there is anybody who's still on, as we can tell on this, anything there that people would love to do or they've done that feels sort of audacious, because it's that claim, you and I in 4PC, we have that sort of hey-yos or declarations. When people make declarations, especially in a universe of other people in the community, there is a much bigger force to it. It's a commitment to self. So if anybody's audacious, just put it out there, and then we will amplify it. James and my energy together will amplify that audacious claim for you if you wanted to. But I would love to have you back, James, for sure. Let's set that intention.
Yes. Okay.
Because,
all right.
I'm committing to doing this for 12 months. Absolutely. Every 2 weeks. I forgot to mention it at the beginning, but that's my intention. And I think there will be holidays, and I might do once every week or once every 3 weeks. I'm not going to be that clock in terms of the commitment. And if people were to find you, where would they find you? I know this is sort of the typical podcast, and this is not one, but it's always nice.
Sure. Yeah, you can find me at James at onpurpose-life.com. That's where you can find me. onpurpose-life.com is my website, so you can find out more about me. And I'm also on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out or connect in any way. I'd love to hear what you got from this, or just know anything that's going on in your life. Someone says, thanks, pure brilliance.
Oh, Liz, thank you. Yeah, well, if anybody wants to be ignited, that's it.
Yes, that's her.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for being here.
And how about you, Alina? You've got a book coming out, right? Where can people find your book? I think it's out now.
Well, the book is not out now. No, so my book is called The Audacity Spectrum. Thank you for asking. And it will be out in the summer, in August, but it's already, you can find it to pre-order on Amazon UK at the moment.
Amazon UK.
Hopefully it will come over your side of the world in US at some point during this year, but it's Amazon UK for now.
I can't wait to get my hands on a copy. The Audacity Spectrum.
the Audacity spectrum. That's right. So it is about the spectrum, the sort of two sides of it. And I think, well, maybe next episode or another time I'll tell the story behind it as to how I came to write that story.
Okay. Yes.
Inspired by my son who is on the autistic spectrum. So that's part of the backstory to it.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. Well, I think we are at time.
We are at time. You and I could talk for 3 hours, no problem, right?
We could even more so. But thank you so much for being with me today and for launching it for me, my sort of, part of the happiness project. And thank you to everybody who has been here.
Absolutely. And what I would tell you is, so we learned some things today. You have launched this podcast, this show, and now let's just move in love, Alina. Let's just move, and I wish you continued love with this project, and can't wait to hear more.
Thank you. Actually, you're right. We've sort of learned, we've launched, and let's go down the sort of love path. You and I love that word. So I think I'm going to try to end this stream. This is what I'll show. I'm not sure. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to press the end, and I will love you all. Thank you. And then thank you. Okay, we're getting Josefa. Thank you, Josefa. I love to see people being here. Sheila, I don't want to let go now.
I know,
but I am going to press it. And thank you, Sylvia. Thank you.
Yes,
we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. I think we have. I have Rita in 2 weeks' time. So for anybody who wants to, we'll continue the audacious conversation then.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.